But if you are relying on first-hand reviews only, you are ignoring the ocean of information that is required for meaningful commentary and elevating the average forum poster to a status that stands above coaches and textbooks. That's not an acceptable standard for any academic discipline. We gotta get serious for a minute. We gotta have a discussion about principles, standards, best practices in this field, because things are getting out of hand. A couple weeks ago, I put up a video that gave a less than favorable review to a pretty popular program. And since then, I've been under fire. And I want to address those criticisms because it's not just defense of myself, although some of it's that, but it's that I think it's really important when these types of conversations come up to put a hard line in the sand about where those principles and standards are if we're going to treat this like a serious discipline. So the thing that's been said is that it is lame or disingenuous to do a review of a program without having ran it. So that's the big criticism, is that I gave a negative review to this program and I didn't personally go through it. And I'm going to get to the bottom of why I think that's flawed. It's important for me that you guys know that, yes, I have an ego. Like, yes, I do argue on behalf of myself. I do get overly defensive sometimes. I'm never gonna lie to you and say that I don't have an ego. But even when my ego's acting up, I will never, ever form a strong opinion about something that I cannot write a 10-page essay about on the spot. I've always said the quickest way to know if somebody's full of shit is to listen to how many times they say, I don't know, or it doesn't matter. A lot of things don't matter. A lot of things are just personal preference. And if somebody has an incentive to represent themselves as an authority, they will take every scenario to form a strong opinion. And those same people are the ones that won't say when they don't know something. So you want to listen very carefully for that. I routinely get asked questions that are outside of my wheelhouse. And I am very quick to say, I don't know, I'm not sure, let me direct you to somebody who can handle that a little bit better. This is not one of those situations. The goal of my channel has always been to try to educate you guys on how the inner workings of programming goes off, to take all of these things that get mystified when we start off, where we don't really know what makes programs tick when they all seem like their own independent thing, and to demystify it, to make it knowable, to make it digestible. And the best way to do that, I thought, was to take popular programs that people are running, people are talking about and engaged with, and lay everything out on the table and see what's similar, what's different, why it's that way. And we look to sometimes the results people have had. We look to my personal experience with coaching. We look to what other authorities have to say. We even look to the writings of the people that have made the programs themselves to see what they were thinking when they went into it. So I think that has value. I think the reception my program reviews have gotten confirmed that it has value. And I want to share with you guys a response I gave to a comment on my Patreon page this morning, because I thought it did merit a further discussion in video form. So that's what we're doing here. So my response begins. I've got a comment on the assertion that reviews are better served by people who ran them, because that is a fundamentally flawed perspective that can only be held if there are misunderstandings about programming. So thing number one, how someone else responds to a program gives you quite literally no insight into what you need from training and doesn't teach you how to approach programming as a discipline. That approach amounts to, it worked for Jared, so it's a good program, or it didn't work for Jared, so it's a bad program. For instance, my years of competing and my strength level, along with all of my basic predispositions, requires things out of my training that don't apply to you or anybody else. My tolerance to work is different. My training history is different. My rate of adaptation is different. My need for skill-specific work is different, and my outcomes will 100% be different. If that was what I was basing my reviews off of, hopping around from program to program and telling you the results of each one, the educational value to those watching would have been zero. I wouldn't have been able to engage in all of the deeper discussion about the mechanics of the program that I have up to this point. It would just essentially be the equivalent of watching a training vlog. Thing number two, every program that has ever been written will make somebody stronger. Its ranking isn't decided by the fact that somebody somewhere grew, but rather by how many people in that group are likely to be served by it. If a program is inappropriate for the group it's being prescribed to, it will fail to meet the needs of 70 or 80% of the people who ran it. Now maybe the 20% who got strong were brand new and they were gonna grow from anything they did. Maybe it was something like max every day, and the people who grew were the few durable ones who could survive long enough to actually get stronger. In both situations, some are guaranteed to mistake their unique personal circumstances for the program being generally good, and those are likely to be the people giving reviews online. I will always rank a program higher for doing pretty well over a lot of people rather than doing exceptionally well over very few. Some people lost it when I ranked starting strength as S tier, while Bulgarian, Smolov, and Ensons went D tier. Starting Strength has gotten more people hooked on lifting than any other system by a mile, and it did so by exposing people to an accessible, reliable, easy method of progression. Those other programs I mentioned are bucket list programs, and they survive off of the praise and the recommendation of the 10% of the people who didn't fall apart from them, even though many of the reviews show that they get tendonitis either way. The way you predict if a style of program is going to be appropriate for an entire group, which can help better estimate if it will help an individual who's part of that group, is by collecting a lot of data over a lot of people. Some of that comes from years of coaching directly. Some of that comes from textbooks. Some of that comes from listening to other authorities. But if you are relying on first-hand reviews only, you are ignoring the ocean of information that is required for meaningful commentary and elevating the average forum poster to a status that stands above coaches and textbooks. That's not an acceptable standard for any academic discipline. Thing number 3, discipline is the key word here. Programming deals in variables that can be measured, compared, and used to predict results over a population. The perspective of those who say that you have to run a program to do it treats each program like it's its own unique separate thing and that nothing can be known until it's implemented. But again, my implementation of it doesn't tell you anything. So it just assumes that we're all in the dark. Is try it and find out the best we can do? If that were the case, Olympic camps and NFL training programs would be ran very differently. And if that were the case, we wouldn't have this need for programming discussion anyways. Programming is not voodoo. It's not scratching a lotto ticket. It's the exact opposite. Volume, intensity, effort, frequency, exercise selection, and on and on and on can all be evaluated and compared in their relationship to each other. And when really obviously bad combinations present themselves, you don't need to expose yourself to 12 weeks of it to come to that conclusion. This is along the lines of, I don't need to stick my hand in the oven to know it's going to burn. Now, I've done over 450 videos in the last 4 years, and I haven't seen this critique a single time. Did any of you actually believe that I ran all of Greg Knuckles' 28 programs? Of course not. And it's not like people are biting their tongues. The YouTube comments aren't exactly known for biasing towards positive feedback only. If I misstep, I hear about it. So it's really hard for me to not see this position as anything more than an easy way to dismiss me because I gave an unfavorable opinion about a popular program. The aim of my videos has always been to educate the audience about the individual gears that make up the machinery of a program, to shine a light on what they are, how they fit together, and how they form a connection between all other programs that might otherwise look completely isolated and unrelated. In evaluating and giving my take on the most popular programs, I believe I accomplished that. So I will continue to do exactly what I've been doing. So thank you for stopping by for my presentation on scientific standards and practices. Let me know what you guys think. Even if you disagree, leave it in the comments. I want to get a discussion going. What do you think about the reviews I do? What do you think should be changed? How do you think I should implement these critiques to make them better? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you for watching, guys. Until next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.